and welcome back, everyone. We are here at the FAB committee meeting, and we'll go ahead and get this meeting started. I'm Commissioner Ted Terry, your chair. I'm joined by our committee members, Commissioner Michelle Long-Spears and Commissioner Shakira Johnson. Also joining us is Commissioner Nicole Messiah. All right, committee members, we've got 32 minutes, so we're going to aim to get out of here at 5 o'clock. We have our meeting minutes from the October 14th committee, and I'll open the floor for a motion on that item.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion and second. All in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. All right, we're going to take care of these contracts first. First item 0695 is contract number 2000297, Strategic Assessment Services for use by the Department of Purchasing and Contracting. This contract consists of providing a thorough strategic assessment of procurement operations, which includes primarily but not limited to procurement policy, process review, local small business program assessment and effectiveness review, benchmarking activities, procurement policies and procedures, development and revisions, process mapping, and customer service level reviews. Awarded to Periscope Holdings Incorporated, care of NIGP Consulting, amount not to exceed $300,000. And Director Butler is here. Is the next item related, or do you want to separate those?
They are from the same vendor, but they're not necessarily related.
Okay, all right, talk about this one first, then, please. Director Butler.
So if you recall, when we had our FAB presentation, I mentioned to you guys that we were already in the process of working towards improvements. So I mentioned how we were partnering with NIG Periscope. This is that agenda item I mentioned we were bringing forward. We had already been in talks with them and negotiating with them in 2024, but I didn't have all of the money that I needed. So we were planning a phased approach. When the new administration came in, she blessed me with all of the funding I needed. And so this is your agenda item reflecting all of the money that I needed to get the ball rolling. They are currently in the process of doing this assessment because, as I stated, we started this conversation in 2024.
Okay, great. All right, committee members, any questions or comments?
Nope.
Okay, all right, open the floor for a motion.
Move to approve item 0695.
Second.
All right, motion is second. All in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. All right, next item is 1195. This is a cooperative agreement for public sector procurement consulting services. This is part of the North Central Texas Council of Governments Master Service Agreement for use by Department of Purchasing and Contracting. Consists of purchasing from the competitively let NCT COG TX share contract to temporarily augment existing procurement staff while efforts continue to fill hard-to-fill vacancies requiring more experienced procurement candidates, awarded to Periscope Holdings Incorporated, doing or care of NIGP Consulting, amount not to exceed $800,384. Director Butler.
Yes, so this is another conversation we had during that FAB presentation about our staffing needs. Procurement is a profession. We actually have a team of a lot of new staff members. A lot of our seasoned individuals have departed us, and we were in competition with private and public sector. And so we lost that knowledge and that skill set. So we're building that back up, but we still need seniors, and that is a difficult role to fill. So in the interim, we have partnered with NIGP Periscope to fill that gap. It is a temporary measure. It is not meant to be a forever thing. We've in fact actually just completed some interviews for 2 procurement managers, and we continue to work on filling those roles for the seniors. But at this moment, those individuals have been very helpful. They've been able to hit the ground running because they already have that foundational procurement knowledge. So all we have to do is show them the DeKalb County way, and they are able to keep things rolling.
Okay, very good. All right, committee members, any questions or comments? Commissioner Johnson.
Quick question. So how soon, assuming we approve this, would you be able to implement these additional staff members?
So we've already started that,
Okay.
because these are also conversations we had back in 2024, and initially it was a lighter usage, but that's actually increased. So we actually had to increase our usage to move forward the DWM, CIP, and consent decree procurements because that ramped up for them, so that meant it ramped up for us. And we didn't have the staff to help them. So to make sure we were in line with the consent decree, which we had a commitment to complete procurements within a year's time, we needed the staff to do that. So the work is already, these individuals have already started doing what we needed them to do. We just ramped up adding additional people, and we've also added the use for some non-DWM CIP consent decree procurement team members because they also needed that assistance.
Perfect, thank you. I yield.
Okay, all right, all right, seeing no other questions, comments, open the floor for a motion.
I move.
You got one? Go ahead. Commissioner Patrick has joined us.
Yeah, just a quick comment. This sounds like a fantastic idea. I know in years past there was a shortage in sanitation, and we went with an outsourced firm to get that level of service up to expectation. I just want to say I think this is a great idea, and if there's other places to look within the county bureaucracy to do that where we can get our level of service up to expectation, I would encourage and support that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I would add that you'd actually be surprised that other departments are, thinking about the same thing and are in the process of doing the same thing on their levels.
Yeah, as a elected official, we are charged with getting ready for the future, but also blamed for everything that goes wrong right now. And just from my own experience, if we have the staff in place to help us move through these issues and even address them before they become issues, the government is left in a better position, and the residents generally appreciate when they don't have to worry about us. So, thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, open the floor for a motion.
I move to approve item 1195.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. All right, next item is 1509. This is to allocate $300,000 for leadership DeKalb in FY26, FY27, and FY28 to strengthen leadership and management skills among county employees. And I believe we did ask TJ, Zach, you had suggested preparing a license agreement, and actually Commissioner Longspears is your item. So do we have that available, or is it can it be in the works between now and the next BOC meeting?
And also, I'm sure TJ will speak to his requested changes to the agenda item. I will distribute the substitute that I will bring forward on Tuesday during the business meeting.
Okay, great. All right, we'll take
But
those.
here's a sneak peek of the sub.
All right, and Attorney Ackner has joined us at
And
the
here you
mic. Would you like to add anything to this conversation?
Thank you, Ms. Agner. I guess
Hi.
I should have said you, not TJ.
I think it just might be helpful for some context. I understand that TJ wanted the item to look more like a contract agenda item so that we have 3 years with a certain amount for each year. So when you see the proposed substitute, it says to approve a contract with Leadership DeKalb. It lays out the years, it lays out the funding, and it has a beginning date and an end date. I understand from Director Siegler that the form of this agenda item is acceptable to him and that it will work with the budgeting issues. That's all I needed to add.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions or comments? All right, well, committee members, I think we're looking for just a recommendation on this agenda item with probably the recommendation that we recommend approving the substitute, which can be introduced officially at the next BOC meeting. So I'll open the floor for a motion.
Motion to approve 1509, the substitute, which will be presented formally at Tuesday's business meeting.
Second.
All right, motion is second. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. All right, let's do, okay, so we did remove 1393, the fleets, so that's been removed and withdrawn. Next is item 1534, to amend the FY25 budget to establish the Office of Legislative Counsel and authorize the hiring of legislative counsel. And I think I'm one of the sponsors on this, but I won't probably speak too much of it, so I'll hold the gavel for a minute. But Commissioner Longspears or Messiah, who would like to go first?
Want to go? Go ahead,
You want to go
Commissioner
first,
Messiah.
Commissioner Messiah?
Yeah, I think just to the point that we just heard in terms of being able to have the support that's necessary to be able to have, access to the information needed and to support those that are already working so tirelessly to assist us with some of the legal questions and wranglings essentially that we have to provide day in, day out. There's a number, as an attorney, I'll tell you, I realize there's so much law that we deal with, particularly when we're writing certain policies. And what we tend to do is, go to legal, ask questions, and put that on top of their plate in addition to the myriad of other legal questions we have, along with the administration. And so there's just a need for the Board of Commissioners, and I've said this even before I was elected, and continue to stand to say so today, that there's just a need for the Board of Commissioners to be able to have their own, I guess at this point we're referring to it as a Office of Legislative Counsel, but the point is to be able to have access to direct legal counsel to be able to provide us the information that we need directly, and particularly if there are any questions that are in conflict at all, just to make sure that we have a system of being able to address it. And so very much needed. I know that the county attorney, that they need additional support and help. I mean, again, I don't know an attorney who doesn't need additional help and support, particularly when you also have 7 other clients that you have to wrangle with. So this is just access for folks to have more of what they need so we can do our job as efficiently and as best as possible. With that, I yield back to Mr. Chair, and I thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Long-Spears.
Thank you very much, Mr. FAB Chair. My co-sponsors on this are Commissioner Nicole Messiah and Commissioner Terry. Again, the purpose of this item is to implement an Office of Legislative Counsel, ideally in the month of November, but I realize that was very ambitious of us, but why not sometimes? Think optimistic, be hopeful. But just to make it clear to everybody, the item that we brought forward is specifically a budget amendment for this year. It's a total of $65,000, so $30,000 for legislative counsel, that's salary and benefits. Operations, office setup, technology and supplies, $25,000. Professional services, legislative research tools, and other subscriptions at $10,000. So that equals $65,000. And then we actually had an additional language that spoke to the legislative council may appropriate up to an additional $20,000 in 2025 for other support he, she, or they sees necessary. So I am very strongly in support of this item. To echo Commissioner Messiah, I see this as a resource that the county attorneys can utilize to help with research, drafting of legislation, ordinances, policies, also providing legal analysis of proposed or pending state and federal legislation, statutory interpretation, home rule authority. I just feel like this would be so helpful to the commissioners as well as to the county attorneys. Again, another support. And then I recently learned that I guess there was a position at some point that was part of the Board of Commissioners. I don't know when this was, but that role was a policy role. And I believe that, in effect, that position did most of what we just outlined here. I don't know if that individual was an attorney or not, but again, there was a position that did this. So there is some precedence here. It's not brand new. And again, I think for all of us, it would be very, very helpful, and I hope that the law department sees it that way too. Thank you so much. Yield back.
All right, thank you. All right, committee members have spoken, or I'm sorry, Commissioner Johnson on the committee, go ahead.
Yes, I do have some questions, especially along the lines of what happens if there is a conflict between legal opinions from this legislative council versus what the county law department is putting forward. Who's governing? How are we going to do that? And then additionally, if this legal counsel, legislative counsel, is working for the Board of Commissioners and is creating ordinances or policies or whatever, doesn't it still have to go before the county law department to be reviewed so that it could be brought in and actually become law and get voted on? So are we not just creating an extra layer? And then an additional question I have is, when we had this item before us earlier this year, I thought it was under ops because it was creating a position. And can we just create a position by creating a budget item? And that just appropriating the funding, is that appropriate way for creating a new position for the BOC? So I did have some questions. I don't know who's the most appropriate to answer them, but those are my questions.
Yeah, those are great questions. Let's first ask County Attorney Linkus to respond to a scenario of if this position existed, if there was a conflicting opinion, or any other issues that you might want to raise in that regard.
Yeah, the county attorney's position we control, because the county attorney is the statutory attorney under the Organizational Act, and therefore the county attorney's position we control in terms of conflict. And to answer the second question, yes, it would have to go through the county attorney's office for approval as to form, even if it was drafted by Office of Legislative Counsel.
Gotcha. Okay, does that answer that part of the question for you?
Yes, it does.
Okay, would you like to respond, Commissioner Longspierce, to that specific?
Yes, thank you so much.
Good.
I wholeheartedly agree with our county attorney. At the end of the day, so the responses to questions 1 and 2 is the buck stops with the county attorney. And so if there is conflict, it's still the county attorney. Whatever he, she, or they decides is what happens. And then number 2 is around the ordinances. They would have to review them anyways. Yes, at the end of the day, they would have to approve it to form as well. But again, there's a lot of work. I don't know if have you drafted an ordinance yet for DeKalb County? I know you might have previously.
No, I haven't done that yet.
It's a lot of work. I'll just tell you that.
But we also have policy analysts, so I guess I'm just confused on a couple other items. When we did have this before us before, we had decided to go a different route and have someone assigned to us. And offline conversation that you and I had, it apparently wasn't working. But this, to me, is the first time it had been brought to the board that that was not working. I guess I would have appreciated further conversation on ways to make that work instead of this new policy. I'm just having heartburn with it, so.
Understood. All right. So to address your fourth concern now, which is around the policy analyst, I'll go back to your third, is that I'm the presiding officer this year. This is my 3rd year. My understanding with central staff and our policy analyst is that a commissioner cannot assign our central staff policy analyst something to research. That's just not how, to my knowledge, we have ever operated here. Can we do that? That would be awesome, really and truly. I would be excited about that. But I believe it has to be more of a group type thing for them to research, or of an item like data centers.
Okay, and Chief of Staff McKenzie, if you don't mind coming on up.
Okay.
And maybe just address sort of the internal delegation with our policy analyst team. I feel like we sort of keep it to the committee level, and that's sort of kind of maybe the direction is within the committee chair and committee members. But can you just speak about anything that, I guess, within the committee or something that would not? Well, I guess everything has a committee, so let me just start there. How would you appropriate
Everything
that?
has a committee, and for the most part, if there are some, I guess, issues with, you guys not being sure if it's in your committee or another person's committee, we just ask, and I think previous chiefs of staff have asked as well, that it go through the chief of staff so that it can be assigned appropriately and that we can make sure that everything is followed up on. But yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. But again, and I have it in writing from Dr. Obang, is my understanding is that an individual commissioner cannot take a specific item to the chief of staff, I know you're the interim, for them to research. It has to be an item that more or less applies to everyone, such as the data center is a good example. Okay, that's what I was told, because I asked Dr. Obang to do some research for me.
Okay.
And I was told, no, we cannot do that unless it's something that's either on behalf of a whole committee or on behalf of the board itself. And his explanation to me was, y'all simply couldn't do it. You don't have enough policy analysts to handle the level of request I think that he feared that he would receive. Okay, so all right, and then, so thank you. And then the third concern that you had actually is around what we were just talking about, was the process. And You are correct that the original item from earlier this year was in the Ops Committee. That item actually called for 3 new positions. It was counsel, comms, and IT support. So with comms, we did have a couple commissioners that were adamantly against a BOC comms person. For the IT, we were working with the IT department, and this was when we had our previous IT director, and I think he left us a month or 2 ago, is we ended up having an IT person, at least my office, that we reach out to. So that ended up not being a concern any longer. For the attorney, that is something that we compromised on with the CEO and with our interim county attorney before Mr. Linkus joined us. Of course, he had to eventually approve that, is that we would try it and see if having a designated county attorney to be the liaison to the board. Well, we did try it, and I don't know if anybody else tried it here, and there was some comments at our last meeting that other people didn't even know that we had, I think it was you, okay, that we even had an attorney assigned to us. And so my experience with it is it just didn't work, and I really appreciate everybody wanting to make it work, and we did try it. But again, it didn't work. And I can just give you an example of when I would call the gentleman that was assigned to us, and I was typically calling about Robert's rules because I'm always trying to find efficiencies in how I run the meetings. The gentleman that was not really his thing. And so he wasn't really able to answer me. Then he would have to go and talk to one of our senior attorneys and then come back. And there were cases where both of them were actually coming back to me at the same time. And most of the time they aligned. So at least the responses aligned. So again, it just didn't seem like it was working. It seemed inefficient. And I think, at least from my perspective, this is a better route for us, is to have independent counsel. Yield back.
Okay, thank you. And just, do you have any additional follow-ups?
Go ahead. I go.
And maybe just for additional context, just for the good of the whole, County Attorney Linkus, if you don't mind, come up here for a second. So when commissioners reach out, and this is just in the board context, of any research or questions or anything, I think usually the process is y'all will assign, either you sort of take it in and assign it to an attorney, and I guess you kind of keep track of sort of where that is. So does the law department keep track of everything, I guess, that y'all are researching, working on, whether they're in various stages of production?
Well, let me just describe the process. If a commissioner reached out with a drafting item or a question or a research item, the commissioner should send it to me with copies to the deputy county attorneys. Then it would be assigned to an attorney to handle. If it came in from the commission, in addition, the board coordinating attorney, John Jones, would also be copied on it. He would monitor the process, monitor where it was, act as a liaison between the commissioner or the commissioners and the attorneys who are handling it if he's not handling it. And so he keeps track of everything that's come from the commission. In addition, we're developing a dashboard system that we hope to plug in very soon, which would allow each commissioner to actually see on their own screen where their projects are in the process and what has happened to them. Okay. So we are implementing that, and it has to go through IT, and we have to make sure that everything goes to the right locations and set it up from an IT standpoint, but it's done through HiQ. Okay. So to answer your question, yes, all projects are assigned. I'm not going to say we haven't ever missed one in the history of the law department, but we try our absolute best to assign them, to keep track of them through the board coordinating attorney as well as the deputy county attorneys, and to provide a contact attorney for the board to find out what's going on, where it is in the process, And we're developing, in addition, this dashboard system that we hope to implement and allow y'all to participate in.
Okay, that's encouraging. So because I guess we don't have the dashboard, there must be like an Excel list somewhere or a document. Would it be possible for the law department, and you don't have to like provide all the details, but just have a running like total number of issues that are pending that the law department is actively working on, researching, that are requiring your attention and capacity each week or each month?
It might be possible to do that through the dashboard system. HiQ is the provider for all of this.
Okay.
And obviously we receive assignments from many different places. Could be the sheriff, could be the probate judge, could be the clerk of court, could be the Board of Elections. We're trying to do the best we can to maintain that on premises right now through the board coordinating attorney for the commission in particular.
Okay.
So for the commission, that would be easy to come up with. I can see if we can do it for everything through HiQ.
Okay. And the law department, in essence, represents the entire government. And do you ever work with the other constitutionals as well?
Oh, yes. We represent all the constitutional officers as well. Yes.
Would it be possible, you don't have to answer now, but would it be possible to simply give a ballpark percentage of what percentage capacity the law department spends in terms of time, and we can just do billable hours if you want, on every other aspect of the government and then just the Board of Commissioners?
I don't know. I could check on that, though.
Okay, but in theory, the dashboard is designed to provide some level of at least number of items. Some might require more time than others.
Yes, and the issue there is we want each commissioner to be able to see their projects and where their projects are in the process.
Okay.
To be able to put notes in there so that all you would have to do is go to your computer and you can see your projects. Because we understand folks want to see their own projects. We don't want to put up one big dashboard for everyone. Mm-hmm. So what we're trying to do is to communicate with you guys as easily and quickly as possible so that you can just simply bring it up on your computer. You can see exactly where it is, and you can see who's working on it. You could contact John Jones, you could contact the attorney who's working on it, or you could contact the supervisory staff if you had any questions.
Okay. Would you also mind sharing with the commissioners, and I think I've asked for this, I don't think a memo has ever been done, but it relates to the Levitan case. And I think in the previous history in the 90s, the late 90s, I believe, there was, I guess, a dispute between the legislative branch and the executive branch. And it seemed from that sort of dispute, it kind of created a chain of events in future decisions or in future ways of interpreting the powers in the Organizational Act of the law department's primacy of who gets reported to and in what order and what capacity. And so I think it would be helpful just to understand the CEO's role in sort of you being appointed by the CEO as a county attorney and running the law department. Of course, we have to confirm you, so that's part of the checks and balances. But in situations where there's a dispute or a disagreement and who represents who, just a memo that would help explain how the law department treats the past precedents that would help inform us in the future.
Okay, I'm not sure there are any past precedents on that issue, but if there was a dispute between the CEO and the Board of Commissioners, obviously we'd get counsel for both. We could get outside counsel for each one.
Okay,
so
understood.
That's an additional possibility.
And would you also mind providing all of the just a number of how many active issues the law department has outside counsel for? Like how many contracts do we have for other lawyers that are not the law department, whether it's our items or administrative items or other department items, just so we have a comparison of law department capacity and then any additional outside lawyers that are currently being paid, obviously, to do X, Y, Z.
Okay, I'll try my best to put together that information.
Okay, well, presumably we have a contract with them, so we know who we're paying.
Well, we have a retainer agreement with each outside counsel.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if there's any place where all that is compiled. So it may take a lot of investigation.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Johnson.
I just had a quick follow-up on the HiQ system. So this is a system that you guys internally are already using.
Yes,
It's just a dashboard interface that would be the new piece of it.
Correct.
Okay.
We're working through HiQ for them to develop the dashboard system to run to each of y'all's computers. in
And I
your
know
offices.
when we were talking, when you were coming up for your appointment, we talked about the dashboard. So
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
glad to see that you're continuing to work on that.
Yes, we're hoping it'll get up to speed in the next 30 days, but they say it's finished, but we want to test it to make sure it works right before we go live with it.
Thank you. I yield.
Okay. Commissioner Messiah.
Thank you so much, and I see Deputy Attorney Welch
Oh,
coming
yeah. Do you
up.
want to say something?
I just wanted to
Matt?
follow up on one point that I imagine Mr. Linkus has no way of knowing, as he hasn't been here when the year turned over. But it's been our habit, at least as long as I've been in the law department, on an annual basis, every single attorney accounts for a percentage of their time across all clients. So we can get that information for you. We report that internally so that we know where we're spending our time. And so every year, annually, our attorneys go through and divide up what percentage of time they spend on each of the 53 departments, plus constitutional officers that we represent. So that information we should be able to pull fairly readily in terms of trends of where we've spent our time.
Okay. How far back would you go? Like 4 years, 5 years?
I'll have to double check how long we've been doing it. Can't promise that it was done 100% during COVID. We may have done like a 2-year block, but I'll check internally and see what we've got. And of course, we're happy to share it.
Yeah, that's very helpful. Thank you. All right, Commissioner Messiah.
I appreciate it, Mr. Chair. And just to better understand presently, because we're all clients, here. And so how is our cases or our issues, if you will, or our concerns or the tasks that we're having you work on, whether it be reviewing a resolution or researching a legal issue or, any of the constitutionals, how is that that case essentially or that issue being managed presently from a time perspective?
From a time perspective, we get it done as quickly as we can. We have certain standards. We try to get it out within a certain period of time. And I could send you a memo that I did, which set forth all of those standards for all of the attorneys in our office. Obviously, if it's an expedite, we try to get it out as quickly as possible. Things that are less expedited, we have normal ranges for when they go out.
And how are priorities sort of set at this point in terms of what projects or tasks or issues are addressed opposed to other ones? Let's say you're working on one item or one issue, and then another one comes up from another commissioner. How are you prioritizing which one is completed, or if you complete that one or start on another one? How is that sort of done at this point?
Well, I would have to say that my staff prioritizes based upon getting the work done on time for all of the folks involved. So they have to look at each piece of work when it comes in, make sure that it fits in such that they get it out by the deadline. So if they've got 5 days to do one project, it's already sitting on their desk, but only 2 days to be able to get to another project, they jump on the 2-day and then they go back to the 5-day. And that's supervised through our supervising attorneys and our deputy county attorneys.
Okay, I appreciate that. So what if a commissioner doesn't set a timeline and say, I need it done by this deadline? Then how do those projects get done?
Then it falls back to our general standards that were encapsulated in the memo that I related to you.
All right. And I'm just saying that because there's, there's been, and I only go to legal with, a couple of things, just knowing how much, you guys have to do and how much that you're working on at one given moment. Again, not just from the clients that are sitting up here, but also the CEO and the other departments that you guys reference that you represent. And so, however, there, been a number of things just in a short period of time that either it's been months and it's, I don't get anything back for a while, or things that we've been working on since I've came in. For instance, in terms of the 13A, non-13A appointments, and just going through that task. Attorney Welch, just the project, we had an update, and I appreciated it. I was really excited about that update in terms of understanding how the appointments take place, which ones are outstanding, which ones need to be filled, which ones have been filled by which entity, just so that we can stay on top of it and not make it more difficult than it needs to be. And got an update several months ago, hadn't had one in a while. So that's why I'm asking, so I can sincerely understand as we are addressing, this item, or this issue again, because again, for me, it is just about being able to do the best job, possible. Only could do that with the information that I'm able to get, but also trying to be mindful as to what we're dealing with. And to that end, I appreciate, Commissioner Terry, you asking the question in terms of the areas of law that are currently being managed through the county attorney's department, or which ones are actually where there's sought an outside counsel, and how many additional law firms are there addressing the outside issues, whether it's zoning, whether it's real estate, whether it's environmental, just the other outside offices, and then what those retainer amounts are for those outside offices. I mean, particularly when we have an excess in terms of litigation for the county, we get sued all the time, and just wondering, how much of it, our litigation, for instance, is outside. And so I would like to know that myself, since now we're delving into, more of this concern, because I just want to be able to have the support that's necessary to do the best job possible. With that, I yield back to you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. And I'm going to suggest, because we've asked for a lot of information at the committee today, that we defer this item so we can give the law department time to just respond to some of the questions we've received, because it is past 5 o'clock. So I think the discussion will continue. And I want to say thank you to the law department for everything that y'all do. One of the things I would like for y'all to think about is where some of the commissioners are coming from in our, questions and information. At the end of the day, the best way for us to work together is to work together and to talk about the issues that we're having. And so the fact that you've brought up some ideas about dashboards and tracking, and you've acknowledged time spent per department, per commissioner, those are all things that would help inform our decision as it relates to this item. But obviously what we're really getting at here is to ensure that everyone is efficient, working at full capacity. I will acknowledge that the law department, as it relates to the individual attorneys, are paid a lot less than all the major jurisdictions that exist in Metro Atlanta. And I'm aware that we have had vacancies and that we have laterals to other departments. And sometimes if you got an independent firm or a school system offering $80,000 more, then it becomes a question of how we actually are attracting and keeping our own legal capacity. And that's not talking about for us, I'm just talking about for everyone, all 52 departments, constitutionals, all the things we have to deal with. I know there's a salary survey going on. Quite frankly, I don't think we need to do a 6-month salary survey to just say what are the peer counties that we're competing with pay, and we should just reflect it and at least be, equitable in that. We've already discussed police officer pay. I mean, it's the same situation. We got to keep up with the Joneses. So I want us to be in the mindset, because the law department, as county attorney says, is the final decider on so many things. I mean, clearly everything that we ultimately decide must get, and it's almost in every resolution, must be signed off by the county attorney. So we don't take that lightly. And so I think what we're here looking for is ideas that you might have, and how we're addressing some of the core issues in this resolution brought by the 3 commissioners. So committee members, if you don't mind, let's just defer this for, okay, quickly, go ahead, Commissioner Bolden. And Commissioner Patrick, quickly.
Thanks, Ted. Appreciate you.
I'll try to get us out of here, but go ahead.
And it's just clarity on the item. It's not anything for the attorneys, but thank you so much. I do want to, because it's the Office of Legislative Counsel, is the goal to eventually to have multiple attorneys, or is it actually just for one person?
I can respond to that, if that's okay, Commissioner Terry.
Yeah, if you want to give a high level.
I will be speedy and high level at the same time. So the initial thought is to hire the legislative counsel in and then let she, him, they decide how they want to build out the department itself or the council office.
And
so
this,
the answer is maybe.
and this person will be part-time because I see the budget amendment is for $65,000.
No, ma'am. Actually, hold on. Let me address that. So I have
180.
7,000 pieces of paper in front of me.
It's 180.
So it is based on 180,000 a year. It came out to look at the. I don't have it in front of me. I ripped it out. Give me a second here, Dr. Bolton.
Okay.
Can someone give it to me? Anyone got it? I can
Well, it
quickly
says
look
salary
at
and benefits 180,000 annually.
It's 180. Okay. Do you have it? I've packed my stuff up because we're running late. 1 second, please.
It's right.
The simple answer that 60 is the prorated route.
It's for November and December. Yes, it's for November and December.
And also, it was for
Very frustrating.
software, and if they needed an additional assistant, like paralegal, because it is customary for an attorney to have help, like a paralegal or a law clerk. So where they saw fit to have additional assistance, then they would, but it would only be through the rest of the year. That's it. For instance, there is like software, and that's why I was asking what systems are presently utilized in order to, follow up on the matters that we have. So it's just essentially for them to stay on top of, what we are doing and be able to get help where needed.
Yes.
Can we get you some more information in the next 2 weeks?
Yes.
She nailed it. It is for the months of November and December, based on 180,000, 15,000 November, 15,000 December, and then of course the 25, 10,000, and an additional 20 if additional support is needed.
Okay. And then my last question is this person expected to specialize in all of the areas that are 23-6? How many attorneys do we have?
We have 15 right now, but we have 23 positions.
23 positions.
We have 15
Okay.
county attorneys and 23 positions.
So is this one person expected to specialize in the areas that the 15 expected 23 currently specialize in? Or are we bringing them in to cover areas where they lack mastery, or we expect them to do everything that our current law office does, but specifically for us?
Well, don't answer that. So because we're running out of time, and because that's a much more involved question,
Okay.
I might just say that the nature, I think, of this discussion is if there are aspects of anything on this agenda that you say, I don't like or I want to add, let's talk about amendments. Let's talk about, this is a living document. So if there's something on here that needs information, let's get it to you for anyone that's interested, and or if there's things that don't make sense or should be added, let's put those on the table, because, obviously at the end of the day, I think the goal of this is to help all 7 commissioners and work in a team environment. So let's get to some follow-up discussions on that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, discussion, not in writing. Things get lost in translation, so I want to talk
Yeah,
about
let's
it.
just talk about it, absolutely. Commissioner Patrick, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. During my time as an employee with a municipality, whenever we had some controversial or what I would consider a bad idea, my colleagues and I would refer back to the Lost World Jurassic Park, Jeff Goldblum.
Yes, I love that.
This is the worst idea in the long, sad history of bad ideas. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
It has only been brought up by how many different board of commissioners, how many times?
And I'm happy to say it
Well,
again
yes,
and
you
again.
were
It's a bad
entitled to your
idea.
opinion. I appreciate you saying where you stand. I think there was the other.
Don't have to
My
agree.
favorite one is nature always finds a way. So you could take that into the
other one
metaphor
is
you want. All right, commissioners. So if you don't mind, let's defer this item for another 2 weeks, and we will continue the discussion. We'll get some more information from all the things we discussed here today.
Motion to defer for 2 weeks.
Second.
All right, motion is second. All in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. All right, we're going to table the rest of the items or just hold them to the next committee meeting. So I'll take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.